everyone, and welcome back to the CoinDrop Podcast, episode number 108, as we continue to work our way through a hot summer out here in Eastern Washington. Mike is with me once again, kind of. Been working 12s in the heat, huh, man?
Nothing but raw sunlight, my guy.
Just raw dog in the sun.
I'm dead. You asked me to do notes and look for shit that I'm interested in, and there was there's really nothing interesting. But even if there was something interesting, I got home Friday and I made 2 shorts, which I have to post one of them tomorrow. And I sat there for an hour and I was like, dude, I can't come up with a description. All I need is 5 words, and then I can go and click on all the recent fucking hashtags that I picked the last time I posted something, and I'm just I can't even think of 5 damn words.
I mean, I think you thought of, I can't even think of, you've thought of at least 5 there, but not helpful words.
But Friday, no, I couldn't think of shit.
Well, other than, burning yourself in the sun, what have you been up to this week?
It's kind of a lot of trying to figure out the time management of going to work until I feel like I'm dead. And then this.
Yeah.
I got up this morning and I was like, man, I really want to play something. And then I started on my computer and I was like, I really want to lay down.
Yep. Bro, I can't tell you how many times I have been there. Yeah, that's a real common one. You sit down, you're like, I really want to play something. And then you're like, I don't have the capacity to play anything. Yeah, been there. Been there.
Literally, I just turned on Loki, just something to have something in the background while I just basically rot on my phone.
Yep.
And just do nothing.
Yep.
But the job itself, the people are really cool. The guys that I work with are funny. My boss is kind of as long as you show up and bust your ass, I really don't care type of guy. I was 10 or 15 minutes late. I was going to be 10 or 15 minutes late on Friday, and I was like, shit, I need to call or try and at least text him. So I got in my car and I called him, and I was like, hey, man, I'm going to be 10 minutes late. He's like, I don't care.
Still a good idea to call or text.
Yeah. So I called him. He's like, yeah, I don't care. You work hard. You've proven that you're reliable on the job. So I really don't care. And I was like, all right.
I mean, that's the ideal situation there, right? Is your boss understands that you get the job done, and that's what matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the guy that they stuck me with, he's also super great at the job. So we were in and out of houses, and we were getting shit done in 20 minutes. The only time we had anything that took longer than 45 minutes is because it was some weird, we took a fridge all the way inside, found out that it doesn't fit through the frame because they didn't do the measurements right. So now we have to take another 20 minutes to actually take the front doors off of the French door fridge. And then also we have to remove the wiring harness that goes to the ice maker that's inside of the actual fridge itself. And those things, because they're made of stainless steel, have to be laid down in a specific way on a specific type of blanket. It's a whole fucking thing.
Yep.
It's anything that took longer than 45 minutes is just from little shit like that pops up last minute.
Yeah.
Just oddball shit. And then this week I have to get my oil changed. So I texted him today. He sent out the schedule for tomorrow. I texted him today. I was like, hey, I need Wednesday off. I need to get my oil changed, if that's cool. If not, I can reschedule it, the oil change. And he was just like, do what you gotta do.
Yeah. Yep.
So as long as I show up and do what I gotta do, I guess he just doesn't give a shit for the most part.
Yeah, as long as the work gets done. My week, I've been chugging along on the media cabinet. I got the back panel done today. All the holes are drilled. I put in some support blocking on it. The fans all mount really nicely. It's painted, so it's just ready to slap back on at this point. I did notice that I didn't punch a hole for the wires to actually run through the thing. So I've got to drill one more hole, do some touch up, and do that. I got the LED lights installed on the back side of it, tested them, make sure they're all working. They look good. And then then it's the doors, right? Once the fans are mounted and I've got the wire runs done on that, just doors and then the thing's done. So that'll be nice. Still working between that and editing Red Dead Redemption 2. I've got about 14 episodes of that thing done and edited at this point. It is a beast of a game to get through, just editing alone. And let's see, what else did I do? Oh, this last weekend I took Saturday, actually yesterday, I took my daughter to a birthday party and met one of the dads there who actually is a relatively cool guy that does some art, and he's into like holistic medicines and stuff like that. He has like art, like he went to fine art school and got an art degree to actually do art, which is super rare. You know, most people do digital art these days. And so he was a cool guy. We talked. I said I'd plug him on the show. His website is squidsdivinecreations.com. He has a merch store there, information about him. He's a pretty chill dude, really, really laid back. He was in a nearly fatal car accident at 16 that really changed his like entire look on life, because, you know, when you're 16, you're like, I'm invincible, I'll live forever, nothing can kill you. Yeah, this guy almost died. So like that really makes you have those existential crises of like, what's life about? What's it for? What do I want? You know, that kind of stuff. And so he got really into doing really nice art. He was good at it and kept working at it. He does all kinds of stuff. So if you're looking for somebody that does really cool art, one of his most recent things he's done is he started doing commission art for like memorial paintings of people's pets that have passed away. So he did one for like this German Shepherd that was really cool. It was like, you know, laying in a field looking over a sunset. Great use of colors and stuff like that. Fantastic art. Highly recommend checking him out. He's got some merch stuff if you're looking for like really unique hats and, you know, just prints and things like that for clothing. Like he does, you know, his art on clothing as well. So it's cool. It's called Squid's Divine Creations. That'll be plugged in the notes if you guys want to check it out. Also, you know, we're going to be talking about some AI news over on the Patreon tonight. So if you want to check out our Patreon and get more topics, more content, and early access to this podcast, don't forget to head over to patreon.com/CoinDropPod. You get the episode a day early, extra content, all kinds of good stuff. We talked about the upcoming games for the week. It's a good time. And since the last two episodes, probably some of you free guys are like, what the fuck is this cold open? This is not in the episode at all. Those are actually from the Patreon side. So those are part of our topics, which I think in order to promote the Patreon side, I think it's a good idea if we continue to pull for our cold open from the Patreon side, just to kind of give you guys a taste of what we do over there, what we talk about, what the topic might have been. So obviously last week we talked about Dying Light. We're going to talk about it briefly in the quickfire news at the end of the episode tonight as well. Some good news from them. And I think that the day before that, or the week before that, it was a conversation about Zion that Mike pulled a little bit from, which is a new zombie movie on Netflix where guy beats zombies to death with his fists. Yeah, he Muay Thais them to death. Zombies. Very interesting. So we talked about that as well as some other stuff, and that's where that clip came from. So if you're confused about those cold opens, don't be. You might be confused about this one too, depending on what Mike pulls for it. So who knows? But with that said, let's jump into it. So there is a ton of news, despite Mike saying there isn't. And it took me quite some time to get all this together. So this might be a bit of a chunky episode, and we might continue some of the quickfire news over on the Patreon side, depending on how time goes. First of all, Mike, get off your phone.
I am responding to like 6 different people at work, and then it's just
You're working here now.
It's a lot.
You're working here now.
Yeah.
This is work.
Time management. Gotta figure it out.
Clive Barker's Hellraiser got a game announced.
Yeah. I was under the impression that there already was a Hellraiser game back in the 90s. So whenever someone was like, the first ever Hellraiser game as like the title for an article.
A lot of the articles.
Like, there's already a Hellraiser game, man. What the fuck? Apparently I was wrong.
You were. Actually, I'm glad we're approaching this at the top of the episode, because this is actually a very funny fucking fact. Because I was looking into that, because you're like, there was already a Hellraiser game. I was like, yeah, I believe there was. Well, apparently there wasn't. Not one that was published. There was actually 2. So around the time that Hellraiser Bloodlines was in work, Magnet Interactive Studios was developing an unreleased and unrelated and ultimately unreleased game called Hellraiser Virtual Hell. Never came to fruition, never dropped. I don't know that there was even ever any footage for it or anything like that. So that was one of them. The other one is a game that did release that started its life as a Hellraiser licensed game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, if there's a single game on the Nintendo Entertainment System, the original NES, that you think might have started life as a Hellraiser game, which game do you think that might have been? Just any title that you think might have started as a Hellraiser game. I can guarantee you're gonna get it wrong.
Let me do this, because growing up, I did play an NES. I didn't have one. Let's look up other NES titles besides Super Mario.
Yeah. I mean, you had Zelda 1 and 2, right? You had Mario, you had Tetris, Castlevania, I believe Metroid 1 was on there. Trying to hit the ones that I remember. Earthbound, I believe, was an NES. I don't think that was Super NES. Might have been Super NES. But there was some pretty off-the-wall games for the NES. And while you're looking, I'm going to just go ahead and tell you, because I don't want to eat too much time with this.
Wait. Hold on. Mm-hmm. I Googled like the most popular NES games. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say
Mm-hmm.
I want to pick the most odd thing that doesn't seem like it would be related, because I feel like that'd be it. So Kirby's Adventure?
Kirby's Adventure. No. You will never guess this. You will never guess this. Super 3D Noah's Ark. Originated as an Hellraiser licensed game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. During the course of its development, the game abandoned the Hellraiser license and converted it and simplified it into a game based on the Bible. You can't make that up, dude. You can't.
What the
fuck? Yeah, so Noah's Ark, Hellraiser. I read that when I was doing the research for this part, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. That is amazing.
I need a petition made to go back to like the Old Testament and change that chapter from Noah to Hellraiser.
But yeah, that was a fun little piece of trivia that I was like, that is amazing. Biblical game ended up coming from the ashes of Hellraiser. Hilarious. Well, let's talk about Hellraiser Revival. So it's being made, or published, I guess, by Saber Interactive, which in my opinion, they are outdoing Nintendo in Nintendo's own world, which is capitalizing on nostalgia. Saber Interactive is also in charge of bringing back KOTOR. They're also working on a Jurassic Park game. They've done the Warhammer games, and now they're doing Hellraiser, as well as other projects. They've got a ton of great, like...
They also worked on Blood Hunt.
Yep.
I think that was them.
Did they? Yeah, I think maybe they did. I don't remember.
It was Saber and Mob Shark.
That's right. Yeah, it was. So like they're really capitalizing on the 80s and 90s nostalgia in a really great way. This one is being made by Boss Team Games, who were also responsible for the sadly very disappointing Evil Dead game. I was a big fan. I don't know if you played Evil Dead Fistful of Boomstick. It was an old Xbox game.
One of my friends had it, and I watched him play it briefly, but he was the type of person that when he hung out by himself, he'd play video games, but if he was hanging out with someone, like we would go and do something.
Gotcha.
So like I watched him play it for like maybe 10 minutes.
Gotcha.
And then we like dipped out to go to the park or something because I was like 14.
Yeah. So a lot of the older Evil Dead games were really cool. And I, for one, as a fan of the franchise, was super stoked when they announced the new game. And then it turned out to be an asymmetric 4v1 survival horror online game like, you know, the Dead by Daylight or the Jason game or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And well, the good news here is though this is the same team that made the Evil Dead game making Clive Barker's Hellraiser Revival, it is a narrative single-player story. They are not doing an asymmetric 4v1 survival horror game for Hellraiser. It is a narrative survival horror first-person game, which I am juiced to hear.
So here's my question about that. Because Hellraiser was initially... They were trying to make a universe of it, in the same sense that they made Freddy Krueger and Jason, their own universes. They never really got to make the universe of Hellraiser. I'm wondering, though, if the timeline of this game is canon to where they left off.
So good news. Speaking of the canonicity, it is in fact a canon storyline. So what we know about the game so far is that you play as a guy named Aiden, and you have to use the Genesis configuration, which is the cube, right? For those of you who don't know Hellraiser that well.
The Rubik's Cube?
Yeah. The Rubik's Cube of BDSM, death, blood, and gore and sex. Which, if you're unfamiliar with the Hellraiser, like, brand, franchise, it's going to make you feel weird. Like, that's the best way I can put it. It is like grotesquely sexual blood, violence, and gore. If you're familiar with any of Clive Barker's work, this is kind of like his prized baby. If you've watched Midnight Meat Train, if you played Clive Barker's Jericho, like there
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, like he does like sexual death and BDSM to the extreme. It's really dark, and it's not for everybody by any means.
I'll add to this, if you are a listener and your wife, girlfriend, and or just person of interest happens to be a goth chick,
she probably you
more than likely are aware of his work.
Yes, at the very least you have a passing knowledge. But Hellraiser is really cool because it's very unique in the horror space for that. It's not like, it's different. It hits different. I'll just leave it at that. So you use the Genesis configuration to try and survive and escape the labyrinth, which is the realm that Pinhead, who is the main kind of like face of Hellraiser, you try and escape the labyrinth, which is, it's like his realm or whatever, I guess is the best way to explain that, his dimension. You try to escape that with your girlfriend. So from the trailer, which I don't know if you're going to be able to plug all of it, you might have to do some editing on it because there is nudity literally in the trailer. It seems like you and your girl are getting it on, and then the Genesis Cube makes itself known and Pinhead shows up, and then it goes pretty wild from there. So...
And then there's the Eiffel Tower, and then so.
I mean, it's not like, it's a wild trailer. I really encourage it if you're interested in like the horror genre. The best way I can describe probably what this game looks like it's going to play like, think Doom, but instead of power fantasy, horror. Like, that's what it looks like. It looks like there's going to be like the blood and guts and death plus sex, but like terrifying, right? There's one scene where like, if I was watching the trailer at like slower speeds and watching it, there's one scene where there's a guy who's got like a naked woman basically wrapped in barbed wire on a stretcher, her chest all torn open, her feet are cut off. Like, it's dark, man. It's not for the faint of heart. Yeah, it's pretty woof. So that's what we know so far about the story and the gameplay. Is it's going to be a single player first person narrative game. And I'm sold immediately hearing that. And it's interesting that they're going that route from Boss Team because their last game was that Evil Dead game. So I'm really happy they're moving away from the 4v1 because that's what a lot of horror games have been since Dead by Daylight, trying to capitalize on what Dead by Daylight did well, which we've talked about.
I would say it. Because what the fuck was that game called? Evolve. Didn't Evolve do it first? Then Dead by Daylight was like, yeah,
Evolve did it first, but it's one of those things like, the best way I can put that is Windows released a touchscreen device before iPhone. No one cared, right? So like, it's not about necessarily doing it first, it's about doing it best, and Dead by Daylight has always done it best. Evolve technically brought the asymmetric thing forward. Dead by Daylight capitalized it, and then we had a bunch of people that were like, oh, that's cool, people are making money on that, we should do that, because uninspired. Right? Like, a Jason game could have been so much cooler if you played as Jason in a single player narrative experience. Like, Texas Chainsaw could have been awesome as a co-op survival horror game. Like, it doesn't have to be the same as everybody else in the genre, man. Anyways.
Well, so Texas Chainsaw actually is a co-op survival horror game. Because it's not like 1v4. You actually play as the family or you play as a person, and you have to escape. You cannot fight.
But it's not a narrative story game. It's a versus game. That's what I mean. Yeah. What else do I have here? Okay, so the release date currently is not known. It's to be determined. But bit of interesting little news here. Doug Bradley, who did the original Pinhead, has come back to reprise the role of Pinhead after 20 years. So he will be doing the voice of Pinhead for the game, which is very cool.
Hell yeah.
Yep. And then we've got a quote that I copied from Clive Barker here, kind of about the project. He says, quote, "They've immersed themselves in the Hellraiser universe, captured its essence, the seductive pool of pleasure, the beauty within the grotesque, and forged a narrative that invites players to step beyond the threshold. I'm eager for both the curious and the damned to experience this new chapter in the Hellraiser mythos, where every moment balances on the brink of nightmare and revelation." That's basically Hellraiser in a nutshell. It is a wild franchise. Really, if you're unfamiliar with it, they've made a couple of different movies. I think the most recent one was a remake in 2021, 2022, something like that. I was looking at it earlier. They've made one relatively recently, but they're definitely like cult following movies, right?
Yeah, so they're very niche. Very, very, very niche.
yeah, they've got their audience, and not much outside that audience. I don't know a lot of people that are into Hellraiser. Boy, is it something.
Yeah, like I said, if you happen to be dating a goth chick or are intending to, you better fucking get ready, boy.
Or are a goth chick. Who knows? We don't know who listens to this podcast. If you are, hi. Mike has some words for you. So, I mean, that's kind of all we know about the game so far. Mike, have you watched the trailer for this?
I did not. I actually meant to, and
then you died.
Yeah, I got deaded.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But also, you kind of told me to like not look into anything Hellraiser because of the other topic, and I wanted to make sure I didn't come across it on accident by Googling the Hellraiser.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's fair. I did tell you like don't search that, but that's fair. It looks really good. If you want to pull it up real quick and take a look at it, it's only like a minute or two long at most, and you can kind of skip through. Graphically, it looks really solid. Again, it's Saber Interactive, fantastic publishing company. They continue to push out fantastic work. Kind of on their... Oh, they're also working on Terminator. That's right. Saber Interactive is also doing the Terminator.
They're also working on something else,
yeah. Yeah, they're working on all kinds of great stuff that's just really like... They have for sure taken a page out of Nintendo's book and is like, hold our beer if we're going to do it better. And they've been smashing it, like 100% smashing it. So...
oh man, you were not kidding about that nudity.
Yeah, it's right there. It is right there. Like, I don't know if that video has gotten demonetized on YouTube because of it, but that's their ad, so you know.
I mean, I could also just make sure I don't get the red band trailer, because there is probably a green band trailer somewhere.
Yeah. They're also, I mean, just while Mike's watching that, Saber Interactive is also working on Turok Origins. They've got John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. Like, they're literally just flipping through the pages of the 80s and 90s going, like, what can we do next? They're bringing back Painkiller. Yeah. They're working on the World War Z VR game. They did the Quiet Place, a Road Ahead game, which I haven't played, but it looks really cool. So it's something I've wanted to.
I've played a little bit of it, and it is... man, it's scary.
Yeah.
Like it does utilize your microphone, so like you can turn on your microphone and like you actually have to like shut up.
Yeah, it should be forced. Like it shouldn't be an option to turn on your mic. The game needs to hear you.
Well, I mean, the other thing is like if you're trying to play it with kids around, you know,
sure,
or if you're like on a plane or something,
sure.
Even when I turned the microphone off, like I was terrified. The way the environment is structured, like everything is interactable. If you step on a can, if you step on a bush wrong, if you step in water too quickly, if you like, it's everything is just hit or miss on that. Either you do it right or you die.
Right. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Terminator Survivors is being made by Nacon. Sorry, that's the publisher for that. It's not Saber for Terminator. But what do you think of that trailer, Mike?
It's probably not going to be the one I put in the VOD.
It's definitely pretty over the top, yeah. What you should do is you should just put in footage of super 3D Noah's Ark. You should just have that playing as we're talking here. Yeah.
100% the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or what I'll do is I'll grab that footage, but I'll what is it? Demake it, so it'll look like super pixelated, and no one can see what the fuck is happening.
There you go. Just make it a mess of pixels. So.
Yep. I will say that I wish that they kind of leaned into the actual the character design of the face, because it definitely looks like the cuts in his face are more of a texture than they are actual cuts.
Yeah.
Like compared to the movie, like it actually looks like his flesh is like at any point could just. Here it doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry for audio listeners. That sound is me pretending to
pull a pin out of his head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pinhead is a very interesting looking horror character. There is a lot going on with his design. Again, Clive Barker's whole thing is that line between pain and pleasure. Mm-hmm. So there you go. That's, I don't know. I'm a big fan of his work. I don't know if you ever watched Midnight Meat Train.
I have not.
Oh, that was a good one. It was a direct to streaming. It was back when Netflix first started. It was one of the first direct to stream or something like that. I can't remember where I saw it, but Midnight Meat Train's really good. It's basically about a serial killer who uses a midnight subway train as his processing center. And it's dark.
Yeah.
Clive Barker's Jericho is also a great game. I don't know if you played that one at all. That was a really cool.
I have not.
So that's an older one, 360 era, and he was very involved in the creation of that game. I don't know if it takes place in the Hellraiser universe or not, or if it's a separate universe. But the idea there is it's a team where you pick up their play after a failed mission in a supernatural situation, and each of the team members are different specialized, right? Different weapons, different abilities, because it's supernatural, so they've all got some powers. You actually play as a dead person, and your power is actually possession. So you're playing a dead person, and you take over your allies. It's a first-person shooter. You take over your allies to play as them and utilize their powers in any specific scenario. So it's really cool in a sense that you get to choose how you want to handle a situation simply by possessing a different character.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a really cool dynamic. It was a lot of fun. It did okay on reviews. I think there was a lot of issues with it, but to me personally, I think it was a really cool idea, and it shined through a lot of the lack of polish and lack of or the issues, I suppose, in the gameplay. But it was cool. It was a good game. So I'm excited for Hellraiser. It's going to be cool. Moving on, though, we recently talked about a game that initially I think we were both pretty excited for, and then we saw their gameplay for it, and we're a little hit or miss on whether or not it was going to be good. We're talking about Blood of the Dawnwalker. So they a couple months ago now put out some footage, 20-minute gameplay footage where they kind of talked us through their game. Mike and I talked about it when that came out. You can go back and listen to that episode if you'd like. I think it's somewhere in the 80s, maybe 90s. I'm not entirely sure, but we discussed it when it dropped. They recently put out a new update kind of elaborating on how the game's time system worked, because they mentioned in that trailer that time is more of a resource and you're on a time limit. And so they've kind of talked more about that. The game takes place over the course of 30 days and 30 nights. You have that amount of time to save your family, or they face, as they put it, consequences. What those consequences are, we don't know. But I thought that was kind of interesting because there's not a lot of games, especially open world games, that put you on a timeline. There's games that have tried it and have failed horribly, like Fallout 4, where it's I've got to find my son. Here's the Commonwealth, run around aimlessly and figure out this big open world that we have no direction for. I personally hated Fallout 4 for that reason. If you're going to create a story with urgency, you need to make it urgent. right?
Urgent.
Yeah. Like you have to make the gameplay feel that, not be like, oh, by the way, spend the next 7 hours of your life trying to build up the freaking homestead area. Like, no, I'm supposed to be finding my son. What the fuck? Your gameplay does not complement your story. Well, Blood of Dawnwalker might be complementing their story because they are an open world game, but obviously something bad is going to happen after those 30 days if you haven't saved your family. Now, they don't say they die, which is very curious.
Just the consequences.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about it most of the day, and I'm wondering, are they going to turn them into vampires? And then you have to kill your family?
That'd be a twist.
That'd be pretty.
Consequences are they turn and you have to just axe them.
Mm-hmm. So I went back and watched the footage again of the game. There are still some issues that I see with it, like their radial menu. You know, I hate those things. Their weird interaction with like how you drink blood from a human being, where like you hit a radial menu and it zooms in. Like, you know, we talked about it back then. You guys can hear that stuff again.
Yeah.
But looking at it through the lens of, okay, this is an indie game from Witcher veterans, as well as some other veterans, that is not going to have the polish and charm, I guess, of The Witcher 3. And it shouldn't be held to that standard. It should be taken as an indie game. While it looks great and all that, and there is room for it to grow, I found myself a little bit more interested in it again. Because of this time, right? This focus. And I think, especially after beating Red Dead Redemption 2, open world games are getting out of control. They are too big. There's no direction. I mean, I've talked to a couple of people who have played Red Dead and like, yeah, I never finished it because I just lost track of the story. There wasn't enough direction. There was too much to do that I got to a point where I was like, I'm out here fucking milking a cow. What the hell? Now I need to go rob a train. Like, there's too much to do. And I get that. So it makes me wonder if the pressure, I guess, right? Because a little bit of pressure to get a job done. Stress is always seen as a negative thing, but stress is literally what motivates us to do anything. There's good stress and there's bad stress. So having a game that quote unquote stresses you to get the story done, I think that's a good thing for open world games. It gives you a goal and it keeps you attached to that goal. Now, how you go about it, the game continues to say that it's a narrative sandbox, so it's open world and letting you go about it however you want, do whatever missions you want. And they specifically say that there is no difference between main story and side story, just stories and how you navigate it. So with that said, the game doesn't just put you on a ticking clock. Time doesn't pass like Minecraft, where it goes from day to night to day to night to day to night. Time in the game is actually apparently a resource, and the only time time passes is when you complete quests or after doing certain dialogue options. I imagine there's like, say, I'm going to go to bed for the night kind of thing, right? Like those kind of dialogue choices, which would be like, okay, time skip. So
interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool because that still allows players who are like, the point of open world games is to get lost, because some people believe that. I mean, that's a big thing with Skyrim, is the point of open world games is to get lost, right? And to build your own story. But when you want to make a narrative game, open world is in opposition to that, because you have your story you want to tell, but hey, look, there's that thing over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's Need for Speed Unbound did something similar, because the whole premise of that game is you are working in a garage and you are prepping to be in this like national tournament, I guess, of this underground street race team, gang, whatever the fuck they called them I don't remember the actual like terms they used. But anyway, the way that it works is you have your daytime missions, which are typically just, you know, your street races, and then the actual nighttime mission, and that's where like things start to, you get more heat, you get more reward, you also get more reward, and every time you play those missions, things start to change. So like they have like a passive, I don't necessarily want to call it it's because it's not a perk. What would be the opposite of a perk be? A consequence, I guess.
Yeah, detractor.
Yeah. Detractor. So the detractor is typically like you do this low level race. The detractor is your heat level goes up by 1/2. You do this higher level race, your heat level goes up by 3, and the total of heat is like 5 or 6 or something like that. And then by the time that you get to the nighttime, that's when everything that you just earned from that day affects you more. And anything you skip over during the day, when you go into the night section, you can't replay. Like, it's done. You can't go back and play that again. Because it's all about moving forward to get to that final section of the game and make sure you plan everything individually. So when you talk about, like, there's like a time shift after each dialogue.
Not after each dialogue, after certain dialogues.
Certain dialogues. With the potential of it just being like, okay, I'm done, let's go to bed for the night, or whatever. That's a really interesting take. I think also Vampire did something similar, where you go out during the night and you do your little whatever, get all your experience points, and then when you go back to return to your room and you go to bed, air quotes, because you're vampires, so don't really go to bed. All your experience points are then redeemable, and at that point, anything that you've done that could cause a consequence or cause a perk for the world, the environment around you, not just yourself, would apply then.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good way to take an open world game and make it seem like you need to do this specific set of things in this specific manner. Otherwise, yeah.
I think they're letting it be a little bit more open than that, but yeah, I mean, same general idea, right? Is like, it's the way they put it is it's a resource, right? So like you have to decide, okay, this mission is going to cost me this much of my time to do. Is this going to help me achieve my goal, which is save my family, right? Or is this mission going to be more helpful? So I think it makes you pick and choose a little bit better, but I'm curious to see how that plays out, because they continuously say, like, replay value, I guess, of this game is that your choices affect the world, right? And how you go through the story, which path you choose is your replay value, which I think personally at this day and age, like, I don't need that, but depending on how long the game is, if this is a 30-hour game, sure, that sounds great, because then those 30 hours are still long enough that I feel like I've achieved something, but it leaves me the option to go back and play again and do things differently. If it's a 100-hour game and it has that, I'm not interested. I'm not going to play this game a second time.
You mean you don't want to play Red Dead Redemption 2 4 more times, man?
No. I don't want to. I don't know that I'm ever going to play it again. I might play the online mode if they ever do update it and fix it, but I don't know that I'm ever going to boot that game again. I'm done with it. Moving on. But there's not a lot of games that do time sensitivity at all, if not well, right? Like the most famous one I think there is Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. You have 10 days until the moon crashes into the planet and you die. Right? Yeah. And that's like one of the like most famous time management games there is. XCOM 2 also comes to mind. I believe like at a certain point you hit the point of no return and it's like you have to complete the game by this amount of time. And then Stardew Valley has some time management to it as well, I guess. I never played it long enough to know. But it's got me interested in the game again, and I'm trying to give it a little bit more grace from the perspective that what they showed is still in development and it is an indie game, even if it's coming from veterans of The Witcher. I need to give them a bit more grace, because even though they're veterans of Witcher, it's still an indie title. They're not going to have the funding that CD Projekt Red had for, Witcher 3. The combat I'm still kind of hit or miss on because it's the directional thing. We'll see how it plays out. I will say that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, when I played it at PAX last year, played significantly better with its directional combat than its predecessor. So if Blood of Dawnwalker is somewhere in that realm, it should be good. But ultimately, I think it's one I'm probably going to pick up at some point and play. But that's kind of the update we have from them right now. Still no release date on that. Could be coming out next year. Could be the year after. We unfortunately don't know.
Yeah.
But moving on, speaking of something we do know and release windows, Fable may not be releasing until 2026. And at this point, I have to question, is it going to release at all? So
it's a paper launch.
It's a paper launch, yeah.
Take it right out of the NVIDIA playbook.
Jesus Christ, yeah. This report came from an insider on the Xbox Era podcast. Has two sources that claim the game it won't come until 2026, even though they just put out an announcement saying that it won't come until next year, 2026. This guy's sources are saying 2027. I think I may have murked that up a bit.
Yeah, you got them a little muddled, but yeah.
Right. So Xbox, specifically, Xbox Game Studios' Craig Duncan, the head of it, recently said, quote, "So I just want to start with really excited about progress, really excited where Playground are," which should be is. Apparently he said are. First of all, I want to pause right there. I have sat through enough bullshit all calls from a commander of a military branch to know when somebody is not excited and not happy. And that first sentence does not read as somebody who is happy and excited. Like, just my personal take. Back to the quote here. What's that?
You might be saying Playground R is in like the entire team that makes up Playground.
Yeah, just...
He's including them all into that. Yeah. It
just reads weird. I would say where Playground is, because you're talking about the company. I don't know. Okay, yeah. It's not a plural. I don't know. Where playgrounds are? I don't know. It sounds weird to me.
Where the wild things are.
Where the wild things are. We previously announced the date for Fable as 2025. We are actually going to give Fable more time, and it's going to ship in 2026 now. Well, I know that's not maybe the news people wanted to hear. What I want to assure people is that this is definitely worth the wait, and I just have unequivocal confidence in the Playground team. Quote, Craig Duncan. So insiders are telling this individual that reported on the Xbox Era podcast that it's not coming in 2026. It's going to be 2027. Which... I mean, this just raises a whole bunch of questions. First of all, why the fuck even announce a game 5 years ago at this point? 7 years ago at this point that isn't going to come for another year or two. They announced this at E3 in 2018. I just want to be clear. Like, I might be wrong. It might have been 2020 on the virtual, but I was pretty sure this was when I was at E3 that they announced this.
Don't remember.
At a minimum, it's been at least 5 years. I know that much because it was announced around the same time as KOTOR. I know that. So you announced this game 5 years ago, and now we're saying like development's not as far as we want it to be, but you're really proud and excited for where they are. What this sounds like to me is, I don't know, Craig Duncan, maybe you made a bad call giving an RPG to a racing sim developer. Maybe that was a stupid decision. Maybe you gave them a bigger plate than they're able to eat, buddy.
Hey, I want to highlight the point specifically of like, if you don't have a product that's worth showing right now, don't fucking talk about it.
Hey, Todd Howard.
Just because.
Did you hear that?
Hey, Todd Howard. Remember Elder Scrolls 6? Yeah.
That one
what the fuck, man?
That one was shown in 2018. I know that.
Yeah. What the fuck, man? Just because a bunch of you and your fucking jabronis are sitting at a bar, okay? And one of you assholes decides to write down Elder Scrolls 6 on a napkin. Doesn't mean that the game is ready to be fucking announced.
Yeah. I don't understand it, right? So like there was before gaming became the largest medium in the world, there was a point to it, and it was to attract investors, right? That's what E3 was. It wasn't for fans. We loved it, but it wasn't for us. It was for publishers to attract investors so that they could get money to finish these projects or make the next project or whatever. That's not really a thing anymore. Everybody understands video games make money. It's the largest media in the world. We don't need to announce games 10 years in advance for funding. That's like making a movie trailer for a movie that's coming out 6 years later. What? No one does that.
That's a really good idea for a spoof movie. In the vein of like, it's bad on purpose. That'd be great for a fucking spoof movie. This whole movie is just a movie about needing money to make a movie.
That's a really good idea, actually. You should sell that to Netflix.
They have to do the cop out. They have to. Just pull it right the fuck. But it gets arrested at the end.
Hell yeah. For embezzlement. They get arrested for embezzlement.
Yep. Hell yeah.
I mean, this begs a bunch of questions because we've seen footage of this game. We've seen some what appears to be gameplay, and now it's raising a bunch of questions. Are those vertical slices? How far along is development really? Are we going to see this canceled the way Perfect Dark canceled and their studio got shut down?
Oh, boy.
So the writer of the article that I pulled this from doesn't think that's a possibility, and I think he's fucking foolish for that. Because his argument here is exactly that. It was one of the concerns I had, right? So he says, Perfect Dark was axed and the entire studio, the initiative, was shut down. That happened, quote unquote, that happened because they were a new studio. And Playground is something like a crown jewel at Xbox. So that's not going to happen. Why do you think that won't happen?
Did he miss the part where like the entire half of the other side of that part of the team got fucking nuked?
Yeah.
So we're not going to see a Forza Motorsport game like ever again?
I think he did miss that. I think he hasn't been paying attention to the fact that tons of quote unquote crown jewel studios have been getting shut down, torn apart.
Or let's just excluding the studio specifically, like 30 or 40% of the Xbox workforce is no longer there.
Yeah, the layoffs have been fucking huge. So yeah. I think this guy's looking at it through rose-tinted glasses, and while I want to hope that that means, like, maybe he's right, maybe Playground is, quote-unquote, immune to this, no one's immune. No one's immune. No one's safe. The industry is in a mess when it comes to employment, and I feel for everybody working who goes into work and is like, well, let's see if I can still log into work if I'm still employed today. Looks like I'm employed today. Let's see if I'm employed tomorrow. That sounds like a horrible fucking way to live.
Yeah.
It's garbage. So this idea that like, oh, Playground's safe, they won't let them go. No, that's you're insane for thinking that. There's every possibility that this project, just like Perfect Dark, never sees the light of day. Everything we saw from Perfect Dark was a vertical slice. How could that not also be true for Fable? If they're still 2 years out, potentially, even a year out, potentially, if they're that far out on development, maybe everything we've seen is just vertical slices. Yeah. Yeah.
I just had this conversation with someone, like, not even 2 hours ago, that, like, the video game industry as a whole is, like, leading to burnout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, massive
like, for
burnout.
So many people, even us.
Yeah.
Like, just covering the constant, these people are gone. This game sucked. Like, it's just, what the fuck, man?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can say anymore whenever some stupid shit happens. It's just like, what the fuck, man?
Yep. Yep.
Hopefully PAX shows some really nice stuff, because in one of the emails, like Crimson Desert, the guys that are making that are apparently going to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to get hands on with that.
Capcom's going to be back again this year. It's actually kind of wild because I didn't really think about it, but since the closure of E3, since E3 is gone, PAX is the largest convention on the West Coast. Yeah. That's huge. That's wild. So like Nintendo's going to be back again this year. Capcom's going to be back this year. A whole bunch
Larian
of lists.
Studios is showing up for something.
Larian is always there. I'm convinced they're just there to sell miniatures and like character cards at this point. That's
we're just here to vibe, man.
That's literally it, man. I got to shake Sven's hand 2 years ago and tell him like congratulations and stuff like that. I was happy. That was it. They can be there and do nothing. I don't care. But yeah, the full list of who's going to be there has been published. If you're interested in going, tickets are still available. If you're media like Mike and I, you can still apply for media access. I don't know for how much longer, so if it's not up when you're actually hearing this, sorry. But I can guarantee you if you want to go, you can get passes, like for just general admission. guaranteed. They do not sell out anymore. That hasn't happened since they built the annex, and now they have like 3 buildings that they do this thing in. It's a big event. So Mike, get some good insoles because you're going to be on your feet all day.
Yeah, I'm already planning to get some for work. I actually have to get boots, and
Yep.
I'm going to go down to Duluth and get some pants and shit. So
Yep.
it's on the list, man.
Yep. But moving on, that is kind of our main topics for tonight. We'll continue to watch Fable and see what happens. I'm hit or miss on this game. I still think the female protagonist looks ugly, and it's really disappointing.
Yeah.
They've said that there's a male protagonist, yet they've shown nothing of that. So I would think it would be kind of weird if you couldn't. What?
They said plot twist. That's why the game's delayed. Male protagonist.
I mean, it would be weird if there wasn't. There's been a choice between male or female in Fable since the second game. Actually, since the second game. So, like, that feels like something that's a staple to the franchise. You should be able to choose. Just my personal opinion. But we're going to move on to some quick-fire news. Speaking of choosing and upcoming games, you get to choose real soon whether you want to take part in Battlefield 6's open beta. Potentially. So a leak suggests from a well-known YouTube channel, 1BF, which I'm assuming stands for One Battlefield, that there is supposedly a Battlefield 6 open beta that will be going live on August 4th very soon. And it is supposedly a version of the game that is 5 versions ahead of where the current playtest is. So a much more polished version of the game. So that's cool. Have that to look forward to. Hopefully that does come. I would love to play Battlefield 6. We've talked about it a couple of times on the show. Yeah. I haven't looked at anything for it other than a few of the leaks here and there. But I'm if it has the destructibility that everybody says it does, if it plays like Battlefield Bad Company 2, the best Battlefield game there ever was, I'm definitely interested. So
hell yeah.
Yeah. Moving on, the producer behind Devil May Cry 4, Dragon's Dogma, and Resident Evil 4 is getting ready to announce his new game that he's been working on. He actually left Capcom and started his own studio, I guess. And it's going to be a new action RPG. And the only thing I can think is, please, for the love of God, don't make it Souls-like. But considering who this man is, the games he's published, I think it's highly unlikely he's going to make it Souls-like. So,
now, how mad will you be if the game comes out and it's a Souls-like?
I'll just be like, meh, moving on. He did put up an announcement when asked for comment, I guess. He said that in our New Year's greeting card for 2025, I said I wanted to announce it by the end of the year. And as a man of my word, I want to keep that promise. We've already entered the second half of the year, but rest assured that our studio is already preparing to make that announcement. So we could see an announcement on this game really soon, find out what it is. Hopefully this is an announcement and the game's not 7 years away, and the game is maybe like 6 to 12 months away, maybe. Who knows?
Good luck.
Yeah, unlikely. But we have that to look forward to. When that gets announced, we will talk about it over here. Resident Evil 2 Deadshot is a game that you probably haven't heard about. Mike is looking confused as he looks at his computer and nods his head. That's because this is an on-rails light gun version of the recently remade Resident Evil 2 that is only just now coming out. There was a test cabinet that somebody at IGN got to fly to Funscape in Romford, London to check out. And it is very early beta build, but it looks really cool. If you're a fan of like Time Crisis and Terminator Salvation and the Halo shoot, if you like light gun games, keep an eye out.
Time Crisis was the shit, man. That was my childhood.
Yep. Time Crisis is awesome.
Or Time Splitters.
Well,
Time Splitters. That's what
that's not a light gun, but yeah, that's also a great game.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's going to be a couple of different levels. I think there was 5 or so that they showed, but only 1 or 2 of them was playable. The one that they played was of them in the precinct playing as Leon. There's one that's like a prelude or a prologue, I guess. Not too sure what the overall scope of the game is going to be, where you're going to be able to play it when it comes out, but this is kind of a cool bit of news. I'm a big fan of light gun shooters. I love rail shooter games. They're one of my favorites to play at arcades. It's that and skee ball for me. Big fan.
So I could see you playing skee ball for hours.
Dude, I love skee ball. I love the shit out of some skee ball. Moving on, No Rest for the Wicked, the new game from Ori and the Blind Forest creators. That is a big departure from Ori and the Blind Forest. Yeah. They're skipping Xbox at launch. They're not interested in launching their game on Xbox at this time. That doesn't mean that it's not going to come to Xbox in the future, but as of right now, they're not interested in launching on Xbox. So if you have an Xbox, get a PC. Choice. You basically already have one.
just say fuck, man. I mean, like the most polite way to say that. You basically already have one, so might as well just get one.
Yeah. Just saying. Rumors on the internet, as they are, suggest that a Steam Deck 2 and a home console are in the work at Valve. These have been rumors since the dawn of time. It's much like the rumors that Half-Life 3 is on the way, or that Left 4 Dead 3 is on the way, or that Team Fortress 3 is on the way. If you're catching the drift, I can guarantee there will be a Steam Deck 2. Very unlikely there will be a Steam Deck 3. Valve does not know how to count to 3. It's only a matter of time. But last I recall, unless something has changed, Gabe or someone very prominent at Valve said that they weren't interested in making another Steam Deck until battery technology has moved forward. Because battery technology has kind of stagnated, and like they literally fit the biggest battery they possibly could into the Steam Deck, and it's still not enough to run the Steam Deck long enough to make it viable in most cases.
Hang on a second.
So
I'm going to get kind of technical here. Mm-hmm. They use lithium batteries.
Correct.
Which is the most common, at least here in America, it is the most common rechargeable battery. There's this amazing new tech that is very reliable, has a very high output, and is also very consistent, I guess, in its performance.
Okay.
Hey, Gabe, listen real close, all right? I'm going to say it.
It's cute that you think he's listening.
I got hopes, man. Okay. All right, I'm going to say it nice and clear for you, Gabe. Nickel metal hydride. All right? That's all you need.
So there's a couple of different battery techs out there that are still in development. I think nickel metal hydride?
Nickel metal hydride, yeah.
Yeah. Is one of them.
I came across those because the VR controllers, mm-hmm. right? They require 1.5 volt outputs. Otherwise they just fucking drink the battery straight down. Lithium, max you get 1.2. Otherwise it starts to overheat and you risk venting. Nickel metal hydride I came across because I literally just Googled like what's the best 1.5 volt battery, and then Reddit came up and someone said nickel metal hydride, so I looked it up on Amazon. I got a pack of 8 of them for like $20 with a rechargeable. I'm holding it up for audio listeners, a rechargeable fucking brick.
Nice.
For them. And I put a pair of them in my controllers. I don't know, when I moved here. I haven't had to replace them since.
Nice. So
they're good.
Battery tech is moving along, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's probably going to be a while before we see a Steam Deck 2. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think there's a need for it. The Steam Deck is such a solid handheld that it is really disappointing, but it leads us to a great segue for our next topic. Even though the Steam Deck is as amazing as it is, the Switch 2 is the fastest selling gaming hardware in US history. Why?
It's propaganda, man.
Dude, it is an inferior console in every possible aspect. In every single way, shape, and form, the Switch 2 is inferior to the Steam Deck. But to like the nth degree inferior.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate because like with Gabe talking about not being sure if they want to make another Steam Deck until the battery tech advances. Honestly, the battery tech, I would say, is ready if we switch to nickel metal hydride or some other quote-unquote experimental rechargeable battery tech. That is obviously working because it's in other markets and there haven't been reports of any, like, dying.
Yeah.
I honestly would say it's more about the system on a chip stuff because, like, and this kind of harkens back to when we were talking about the PS5 Pro before the PS5 Pro was announced. The advancements in tech from then even to now is there's been so much done that there's so little to advance on.
Yeah, but
if that makes sense.
Yeah, yes, but Moore's law, right? Moore's law is still a thing that it faster technology breeds faster technology, right? Like that's we will get there with batteries. It's just going to take us a little bit longer. So I don't know. I just don't understand why. I feel like the majority of the sales at Switch 2 are resellers. I don't see a lot of people talking about the Switch 2. I just don't. So I don't know. Maybe I'm way off base. Maybe it's a great console, but I genuinely do not understand. I don't understand. Unsurprisingly, though, 82% of buyers of the Switch 2 also bought Mario Kart World. Well, of course they did. Moving on. A company, unlike Nintendo, who is now charging insane prices for their games, Microsoft surprisingly made an interesting choice. They came out recently and said they will keep their games at $70 for the foreseeable future. They're not making the jump to 80. They walked it back because initially they said they were going to follow Nintendo, and specifically the Outer Worlds 2 was going to be $80. Well, they've walked that back and decided that Outer Worlds 2, as well as other holiday release games this year, will be $70. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean next year they won't jump to $80. But as of right now, Nintendo, they're stepping back from following in Nintendo's horrible footsteps and keeping their games at 70, which to me is still overpriced, but 80 is just unrealistic. So
I pay, I mean, now I'd say I pay maybe $80 a week in gas. Like that $80 for a fucking video game. And like, there's games that I will pay $80 for. Don't get me wrong. But like, knowing the fact that like I'm going to spend that same amount of money on 2 fill-ups to get to work for the week. Going back to 10 minutes ago, what the fuck, man?
Yep. Yeah. At the same time, though, like, I'm at a point where I won't buy a game if it's not on sale, unless I'm super looking forward to a game and I really, really desperately want to play it. And even then, I generally end up talking myself out of spending full price for a game because, like, it's going to be broken. It's going to have issues. It's going to have bugs. Might as well just give it time, let it release like its collector's Game of the Year edition with all the DLC for less than what the initial cost was, and then pick that up on sale. Like, there's so many freaking games out there now, it is not worth it to pay full price for a game at launch. And the ones that you do buy are generally broken. Because shit, Red Dead Redemption 6-7 years later, still broken. Still has stupid ass glitches in it.
I still think that's just to do.
You can talk.
Today, dude.
Yep.
I still think that's just to do with the architectural difference.
No, I'm not talking about the graphical glitches. I'm talking about like the bad code in the game. I'm talking about the boat that decided it was going to be the submarine. The guns that decided they were going to be in my inventory, even though I put them in my freaking box. The horse that just decides to say fuck you and jump off a cliff for no reason. The horse that decides to trip over its own 2 feet. Like the horse that pulled me into a rock when I was clearly trying to go around the other side. Like, that's not architectural. That is bad code. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Not necessarily game breaking, but enough where it's like constantly happening, you know? So I don't know. But there was recently a game that came out that the publishers seem to think that increasingly selective consumers is the reason why it underperformed. No, a flooded marketplace. What?
Are we talking about? Are we talking about the guy that shits in the toilet?
No.
Or shits in the sink, wash hands in the toilet?
No, this is actually Mercury Stream. This is their new game, Blades of Fire, which Tim and I talked about when it was Shadow announced, like just kind of dropped on the internet, like, hey, this is coming soon. The game underperformed. It did not do as well as they hoped. I'm going to say that's twofold issues. All right. I'm going to tell you what you did wrong right now, Mr. Executive Guy. Okay. First of all,
okay.
You released this game with very little marketing. Second of all, this game is exclusive to the Epic Store. It didn't release on Steam. Your biggest mistake, and I understand, I get it from a business standpoint, releasing on Steam, you lose a lot of money because they take so much out of your pocket per copy sold. I get it.
Yeah.
But if you want your game to succeed and sell, it has to be on Steam for PC. Like, I literally saw that. I want this game. I am the prime example of this. I want this game. I refuse to buy games outside of the Steam ecosystem because I don't want 40 fucking launchers on my computer. I just don't. I have Epic Games. I don't use it. I don't use it at all. Like, your game underperformed because you didn't publish it on the biggest PC market there is. So yes. That's my take anyways. This guy seems to think it's selective, increasingly selective consumers. Just to fill you guys in, Mercury Stream is the people, the team who made Castlevania Lords of Shadow the single best Castlevania game ever. Them and Kojima made that game, and it was fantastic. And Blades of Fire looks just as freaking good. It looks like a fantastic game. But you locked it to an ecosystem that, like, I don't know what the actual number is, but I guarantee you it's not as big as Steam. It's just not. Granted, it also came to consoles, but the other side of this is, hey, you guys didn't market this game at all. You put a trailer out and stepped away. Marketing still has to be done for video games. You have to do that. Yeah. And I think that's their failure on this. Not so much that we were selective, because this is the kind of game I want. Blades of Fire is a story-driven, narrative, hack-and-slash game that is not Souls-like. That checks all the boxes. It's not on Steam. I'm not buying it.
And you could argue that it does end up being selective because they only launched on one platform that has a selective few 100,000 people that use it every day.
They released on consoles too.
Just because they have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that I'm realizing, games that release, I'm not gonna get too specific about it because it's a gray area. You know, it's the gray area forum that we reference sometimes, but don't talk too much about.
Sure.
The people on that forum that I interact with, any game that's only launched on Epic Games is immediately pirated.
I was actually just gonna say, I wonder if that's been. Yeah, I was actually gonna look it up right now.
People would rather pirate the game because, piracy is now more convenient than services. Netflix. So they would rather pirate the game and not have to deal with Epic Games Launcher any more than they already have to. Yep.
3 days ago. 3 days ago, it was put on the 7 seas of the internet. So, again, I don't necessarily condone piracy, but at the same time, like,
I understand the arguments.
I do. I absolutely do. Especially when you're like, I don't want to buy the game and it not run well on my computer. I don't want to buy the game and it crash constantly, right? I totally understand being like, I would rather do this, and if it's good, then buy it. Totally fine. I get it. But speaking of some behavior, man, you've just been setting me up all day today. Speaking of some behavior that we as gamers exhibit that really, honestly, like, straight up needs to fucking stop. is our complete lack of moral conduct on the internet. Yeah. There is trash talking, which was fun in Call of Duty. Gelatinous puddle of yuck, or gelatinous yuck puddle fish, right? Shit in the sink, wash your hands in the toilet kind of thing. There's that. Yeah. And then there is criticism elevating to the point of death threats and actual physical attacks on developers.
Man, we went so long without one of these. We went so long without one of these.
Dude, the last one was Bungie.
Yeah.
When Last Light or whatever came out, and people were pissed off because it wasn't like something that they got into their own head. It is unacceptable how bad people in this fandom are. These are video games. This is not life and death. This is not that big a deal. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be mad. Like I tell my daughter all the time, it's okay to be mad. It's okay to cry. It's okay to scream. It's not okay to hit somebody. Unless, we're talking about 5-year-old logic here, right? So this specific title I'm talking about is Japanese, is looking at the analytics and the issues with Monster Hunter Wilds on PC. It is sitting at just under 20,000 reviews right now, with overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam. And people are losing their fucking minds in the comments. Death threats, acts of violence, acts of hate. Just, guys, it's a video game.
Fuck you, man, it's my life.
I don't understand. I used to think anonymity on the internet was a good thing. I really did. Like, I used to think that anonymity kept you safe, but we don't need to be safe anymore. We need to be held accountable. And I don't mean we as in like gamers. I mean we as in everyone on the internet. There is no accountability for people's actions on the internet anymore, to the point where like it's ridiculous. People are literally threatening actual violence against developers for something they have no control over. If you have no outlet for anger, you need to figure one out, because this is unacceptable.
Besides going on Grand Theft Auto 5 and shooting a bunch of hookers.
I mean,
this is the next step, is you just fucking going after people online because you're not actually getting your anger out. You're just acting.
Get a fucking punching bag. Start taking boxing lessons. Go to the gym. Touch grass. Play a different game that does work on your computer that you enjoy.
Beat your dick until you feel better. Like, just something else.
Summon up Pinhead and go into the labyrinth. Just do something that you don't need to be a shitbag human being. And I know the people listening to this podcast aren't like the people. Like, that's not our audience. I can't imagine that's any of you listening, but it's something that needs to be said, I guess, because it's ridiculous. It's the same mentality I see from people who are like overly aggressive driving on the road to the point where they're a hazard to everyone around them. They're so disconnected from reality that nobody in any other car is a real person. I've seen people do wild shit in this city that is just brutally unsafe. And I'm not like a safe driver per se. I don't go the speed limit all the time. I don't follow, everything all the time. But I'm safe enough that I'm aware of the people around me and what I'm capable of doing safely without potentially causing an accident. There's people out there that just think we're all NPCs and that they're the main character. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that's the people that are also leaving these reviews and like this hate speech and shit that's going on. Like, it's fucking it's intolerable. So
like I said last episode, they're the same people that smack their fucking head on the cabinet and then blame the fridge.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Our culture as gamers is, I think, like with most things, I want to be optimistic here. I think like most things, it's a small minority that is incredibly loud. And the majority of people aren't like this. I want to believe that, but the internet continuously shows me otherwise. So, I don't know. That is our unfortunate news for the day. But moving on to some good news, We're going to switch gears a little bit here before coming back, just because I want to talk about this last one towards the end. Lego is releasing another console that you can build. I actually have their NES. I built that last year. The wife got me the NES with the CRT TV to build, which is a fun build. Like, it's got Mario on it and stuff. It's great. They are releasing the Game Boy, original Game Boy. It is, it looks, dude, it hits the nostalgia. It is open for pre-orders on October 1st, and it is only going to cost you $60 for a 421-piece set that you get to build, that comes with a Super Mario Land cartridge and a Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening cartridge. The two best fucking games on that system, in my opinion, hands down. So it's only $60. Good deal for that. Like, I'll buy it probably so I can put it with my NES. It is a 1-to-1 scale replica, so it is the exact size of the original gas-powered Game Boy, as I like to call it, because that thing is a fucking monster. So I don't know if you're interested in Legos. If you like kind of gamer memorabilia stuff, might be something interesting for you. The creator of John Wick is bringing Splinter Cell to Netflix, so that's cool.
Okay, I saw that.
Yep.
I was going to post it, and I saw you post it. And I was like, oh, sweet.
And Ubisoft has canceled any possible chances to make up for the failure of Star Wars Outlaws by canceling the sequel. So there will be no sequel to Star Wars Outlaws. So any chance of them redeeming that franchise is now gone. Would not be surprised if the servers get shut down for that game soon, and it, like the crew, disappears from the internet. So even though it's not an online game, I imagine they would probably shut it down, make it inaccessible or something. Who knows?
Ubisoft does what Ubisoft wants.
Pretty much. Dying Light franchise director, great guy, girl, maybe, I don't know, Timon Sektala, not sure. They said that Dying Light is the correct size for an open world game. Dying Light the Beast. He or she, again, I don't know. I'm assuming he, by the name Timon, don't know. Ty said that if they started Assassin's Creed Shadows, they would never finish it because it is too big, which I have said about all the open world games lately. Dying Light the Beast is going to be roughly 20 hours to complete the main story, which is perfect in my opinion. Yeah. And you've got all the extra stuff to do with it. So it is the right size for an open world game. I couldn't agree more. Sounds great. Even more excited for it because now it's a game I can actually finish. So that's cool. What do we got here? Space Marine 2 studio gets shut down by Saber. This is some news that's been circling that's been kind of reported not terribly accurately. Saber Interactive did shut down the Space Marine 2 studio, but it was literally the physical studio. So like that team isn't gone. They've been moved to other projects. That physical studio space is closed. That's all that means. Everything's fine. No one's been fired. Everything's fine. This happened because of a weird technicality with the legal situation. Saber freed itself from the Embracer of Death. Technically the building they were inhabiting was a legal holding of Saber Interactive under Embracer, not Saber Interactive. It's a weird kind of gray area weirdness, but
the building belongs to Embracer, so they
basically
left.
Yes, yeah, basically. Just being reported in a really weird way because like at first it kind of seemed like Saber shut down that studio. They didn't.
But it's being reported that way intentionally. So
for clickbait.
Read the title and they're like, click it.
Exactly. And then just the last bit of gaming news here. This one's actually relatively local. And Mike, we're going to have to go here because I haven't been there for a while. There is an arcade in Spokane, Washington called Jedi Alliance. And it has recently been It's recently been rated the second best arcade in America.
Yeah, we have to go.
Yeah, I haven't been there for a while. I don't remember it being that amazing, so I'm kind of curious as to what metric they're measuring that off of, but it is a cool arcade. A lot of pinball machines, though, like a lot of pinball machines. So I went to an arcade bar in Portland that personally I thought was cooler, but whoever is judging this says that Jedi Alliance is the second best in America. So pretty cool.
That's what they've been to 2 arcades.
This one and the one in Portland I went to. This is number 2. That's number 1. I don't know. It's cool, man. But like at the same time, unless they've changed a lot, which they might have, it's not that crazy. They actually started a little bit of history on them before we head off over to the Patreon side. They actually started in a building that they intended to make an arcade, but because of zoning laws, they weren't able to make it a business. So they actually called it a church. They took donations for you to come in and play their arcade games, and were only open on Sunday nights. So like they moved to an actual zoned building that they could call a business and became like an actual arcade. But yeah, when they first opened, I worked at the video game store in town, the one you applied at, Game World. And the manager there, he'd be like, hey, you going to church tonight on Sundays? And that's where that's where it started.
That's a great speakeasy right there.
Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a humble startings, but I'm really happy to hear that they're rated as high as they are, because that's pretty fucking cool. Good on them for a local small business that started as basically a church. So that's all I had. Mike, did you have anything for the quickfire that you wanted to discuss?
Nope.
Cool. Good job, buddy.
Yeah. But I hope you guys appreciate that dead air there.
I hope you appreciate how hard my back hurts from carrying you through this podcast. Thanks again, everybody, for watching or listening, or however you're enjoying us. And your support means the world to us. We cannot wait for PAX to come. If you're planning on going, let us know. Shoot us a comment. Let us know. We'll meet up, get a drink or something, hang out. Just, say hi. We're going to head over to Patreon.
Also, do that. Also, fuck Ubisoft.
And?
Tell your mom I said hi.
There you go. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.